Welcome to Action Lab Live, where marketing and sales unite. That's my new tagline. Do you like
Oh, I
that?
like it. Where we unite.
Yeah.
It feels very comic book-esque.
Yeah. The power of marketing, the
The
power of
power.
sales, bring together. And yeah. All right. Well, how are you doing, Chris?
I'm awesome, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm excited about this topic today. I think our audience is going to really enjoy it, especially people who love to incorporate story into the conversation of marketing and sales, like you and I both do.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting that comic book got brought up with what the topic is today, discussing continuity errors. Which,
Hmm.
if you are a movie buff, if you are a comic buff, if you are any story buff whatsoever, you can usually ask people, "Hey, tell me a continuity error." In the Spider-Man I'm glad you brought that up. So in issue
Hmm.
246A, when he was fighting Venom, they actually. So I think the power of what we're going to talk about today is that it should be a seamless experience for the customer. That when a
Hmm.
customer comes to do business with, let's say, Periodic or Craft and Compel, they see it as a single entity. They don't see it as, okay, I'll reach out and it'll be marketing first, and then it might be an SDR, and then a sales department, and then when I finally become a customer, I'll be into a customer success manager. They don't visualize that and
Hmm.
see that for themselves. They see it as, I'm going to pay for a product or a service, and this company is going to make sure that I effectively use it and have success, and my investment was good. But
Yeah.
we all know that are in sales or that are in marketing that when we began to digitize everything and we went to digital marketing, that now every single department kind of had their fingerprint on the sales cycle, and that continuity errors when they would rear their ugly head is when a customer was like, "Oh, I
Hmm.
already answered all those questions," or "Oh, who are you again? I thought I
Yeah.
was talking to." And then when they do that, they start to almost lose faith in the future story that you're telling them. So I think you have a story that you want to share of a very specific
Hmm.
moment for you of a continuity error.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I'll preface it with saying that, that being handed off to different people, it's kind of necessary, especially the larger and more complex the system. You really have to bring in those efficiencies and those specialties between the marketing, the sales, the service people, and this and I experienced that back when I was running a small business. I was running a paint contracting company, and that was one of the things. As we started to grow, I couldn't handle everything. Now, I started that company when I was in college with a freaking backpack and a bicycle, showing up to jobs, painting people's houses myself. But as I started to grow and I hired more crews, I hired salespeople, I hired marketers, I had a whole team, I had everything all delegated out. the that happened. The customer would get passed from salesperson to, they would experience the website, they would experience the marketing materials and collateral that we put out online on social media. They would meet with our salesperson, who we had super polished, and we my salespeople are like, how should I dress? I was like, dress like you're an interior designer, like dress really nice. And then we would have the painter show up, and sometimes before we really started paying attention to this, our painters would show up in their paint clothes, and sometimes they don't invest in the new white painter's pants, and they've got so much paint caked up on there you can stand those things up in the corner. And so it was that moment where the customer felt a continuity error, because they looked at the marketing material and thought, man, this is a polished company. Everything's clean, everything's great. I was using stock images, so everybody's looking clean. The salespeople looking super clean. Painters, they had paint on them. Surprise, surprise. and the problem wasn't the painters themselves, because they were great human beings, they were great craftspeople and all of this, but I wasn't investing in their uniforms. How inexpensive would it have been to say, hey, go pick up some pants, I'll reimburse you, or here's a new, box of shirts. I could have controlled that, but what the customer was experiencing was, okay, we have this great promise, but now I'm getting essentially what I could have gotten anywhere, and it was because of that outward appearance. Well, the thing is, Chris, is once I realized that, I bought nice polos for the painters to paint in. I bought them pants. They looked real sharp. And do you know what happened? Our
So,
customer service experience and the satisfaction, it went up instantly. People trusted the painters more because they looked better. And so from marketing to sales, that's really what we're talking about. Is that handoff smooth? Is it a consistent experience, or is it jarring? Does it feel like, like you guys were putting out this cool brand and this cool vibe, but now I'm in the sales process and this is starting to feel a little like heavy-handed, right?
Yeah. As a salesperson that believes salespeople should have experiential prospecting, at Craft and Compel, we teach story sequences. How do you build a full story in your outreach sequences for an outbound salesperson? And the hardest part is when a salesperson comes up with a really great 10 first touch pieces. They're putting the stuff out. People are like, wow, this is so experienced. Yeah, Chris, let's meet. And then Chris can't back up the experience. He isn't the experience that this letter, this mailer, this video, this whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that's a major letdown for a person that sees the marketing, that watches some videos, that maybe interacts with a marketer, or even interacts with a bot or anything. And they're like, wow, this is going to be great. I can't wait to get to the company. This is exactly what I need. They get with salesperson, and salesperson's like, yeah, John, we noticed you went on the site. What motivated you to reach out today? Let me tell you the 3 key features and functions that we have. Many people in your position, they're experiencing this pain, and we think we're going to and it's like, whoa, like I had that amazing experience over there, and then now I'm showing up here. And, when I think about Continuity Error, I told you I had kind of a small story to share, which is funny, is I went to a really nice steakhouse. I live in Dallas area. Went to a really nice steakhouse in downtown Dallas.
It would have to be.
I mean, we've got all the cattle and the Longhorn. I mean, it was a nice steakhouse. So we went downtown Dallas, nice steakhouse, and one of the best steaks I've had in probably, I wouldn't say my life because I'm not that guy, but in a very long time.
Yeah.
I then realized, hey, they have one closer here. So with the expectation that it was going to be the same great service, the great food, the whole bit, because it's owned by the same people. It's just 40 miles away from each other. Yeah. I invited people to go with me that were from out of town to the steakhouse. It's like, you don't want to drive all the way downtown and get stuck in there on a Friday night. So we went. Ooh, thumbs down, continuity error. Yeah. And I held it to such high regard because of the experience I had before. And so I think when we think about these, these continuity errors, one of the big pieces is that if sales and marketing aren't on the same wavelength and conversation, and sales knowing what kind of experience we're trying to offer this new potential customer, what emotions we're trying to elicit out of them, what maybe pain points we are talking about in our marketing, and then marketing isn't conveying to sales, hey, listen, we've asked these 3 or 4 questions, or this is where they're at. They're conversion ready. They're conversation ready. Don't start that process over, because we already have them at this tipping point. Now they're ready to have a conversation about actually buying. They're ready to see the presentation. They're ready to see the deck. They're ready to see the guts of it. We've already given, you had this pain, and these are the 3 reasons why, and here's the value prop. That's why they've clicked or they scheduled a meeting with you, is for you to now go into the presentation. So I think having that, alignment of like, this is the overall experience that we want to provide is extremely powerful. Now, I'm going to make one comment and I'm going to let you comment on both of them. Is I wonder sometimes if it really comes down not to the actual salesperson or salespeople and marketers, but if it comes down to marketing manager and sales manager, that they have a different ethos for the way that they're managing their departments, that they don't want to share that conversation. They almost like, my way's better. No, my way's better. Well, we'll see. We'll send them some. We'll do crap with your crappy leads. We'll close them. You know what I mean? So I want you to speak on both. I want you to speak on how, from a marketing perspective, can sales and marketing kind of grow in that alignment of this is the experience we want to offer. And then number two, how much does leadership either create obstacles to that or enhancements to that?
Yeah, for sure. Two great questions. I think that part of it is going back to, a thing that we had, a topic we had the other day, which was, what is a lead? Where does that handoff happen? How close can marketing get the prospect to being conversation ready, so that sales doesn't need to do a full pitch. They can almost just start customizing, their responses and tailoring it to what the customer is presenting them, but really just start that, like, now is the time that you get to meet our company. You've seen our company, you've seen what we do, you've seen the features, you've seen videos, you have an understanding. You're probably 75% of the way there. Now you just want to know that you're going to be working with good people. And I actually had somebody tell me that, this was probably about 3 weeks ago. I was on a call with the CEO of a good sized company. And he said, Torlando, I've learned, I'm at the point in my life where I just want to do business with good people. I want to do business with people that I trust, that I believe are going to do a good job. There are a lot of people who have a lot of features and a lot of things that they're doing out there. And, a lot of them are honestly, there's not a lot of difference from one to another. I want to know that I'm working with good people. And so to me, marketing has to do a great job of educating the buyer, but sales has to come in and be that human connection piece and be that relational thing. So if we can at least understand what is a lead and when does it get handed off, now we can understand what our roles are. But to your second question, understanding how leadership needs to communicate and dial in those things, they can't operate in silos. And I think that we do operate in silos because of a couple of reasons. One, I think it has to do with time. We're all always running around like everything's on fire, and we don't have the time. We don't give the time to collaborate and to talk and to work together. A lot of times when you do get in the room with somebody else and they have a different vision and you have a different vision, then it all of a sudden feels like everything's going slower, because now you have to, like, you've done all this work over here on your end in your department to get this thing and to present it and be like, this is what we would like to do. And then they're like, oh, hold on. Let's hold the phone. That's not going to work. And you're like, but I'm only one slide in. I have 50 slides to show you.
True.
Right.
True.
So I think it's challenging, but I think that, something like the Action Lab, which we talk about, where it's so powerful is it says, okay, empty yourself, empty your preconceptions, empty everything that you got here. Come to the table raw, uncombed, and we're going to start fresh together right now.
And I believe the other powerful thing that comes out of the Action Lab is that we may spend time with you individually in your department, but when you show up to the Action Lab, you no longer have a title, because we believe the marketers should be salespeople and salespeople should be marketers. When you show up, you are just Torlando. You are just Chris. You're not marketing. You're not content, creator Torlando. You're not salesperson Chris. No. When you show up here, we believe. So you can't say, well, in sales. No. It's not well in sales. We want salespeople to think like marketers, or marketers think about salespeople, because that's the only way the Action Lab works, is if the lines are blurred in the Action Lab, and then now we know how each person operates. I think it's I think of it like my wife is a physician assistant, and she's an ENT, and I've never actually, obviously done any medical work myself, but I know there have been times when I went and sat like in a waiting room, and even have set like, hey, sit in the hall. Yeah, you need to sit right there. I'll be done in just a little bit, to see what your spouse or significant other, or maybe even a mom or a dad, what they actually do in their job is so informative that now it gives context to every conversation after that. When many times when you're having these conversations, there is no context. So I think sometimes when sales is talking to marketing and marketing is talking to sales, we're only going on the context that we think we know. The Action Lab provides context every quarter for the story we want to create, the experience we're trying to have for the customer throughout the entire process. And now everyone knows, well, I know what marketing is trying to accomplish, and I know what sales is trying to accomplish. And now our goals are more aligned, instead of like you're talking about silos for like, these are sales goals, these are marketing goals. And we see them more like this, instead of actually like, no, they're blurred. They're interconnected with each other, that if this is successful, then this could be successful. And I think when we look at when those goals are separated, that basically everyone involved gets hurt. Like they are emotionally affected. I'll speak from the sales side of how I believe salespeople are affected when there's not alignment, and then I'll let you speak from the marketing side. When there isn't alignment, in my experience, the first thing I do is, when there isn't alignment, then I kind of just play good soldier about sending out the marketing pieces, even though I don't believe in them. And so then I just try to create my own marketing pieces, or my own language around, or my own story around it, not even considering that if this person lead comes from our website or comes from a marketing piece that was created, well, now I'm telling not an opposing story, but a different story that it might be, to your language, jarring. And they have a little bit of what we call at Craft and Compel story confusion. Wait a minute, I came in with this idea, and now you're delivering this other thing. Okay, there's a little bit of overload here. Tell me, so what do you guys do again? And it's like, oh no. So I think that's the first thing I do, is just say, yeah, okay, I'll send this out. My boss is telling me they want us to use this white paper. They want us to use this whatever. But I'm going to create my own because I actually believe in it. Secondly, I think that I probably believed, I'm just being honest here, no one get their feelings hurt. If you were ever in a marketing department that we worked side by side, I felt like I could do it better than you. If I didn't believe in what you're doing, it's like, I could do that. Like, just create a market. Like, how hard is it to get them to say, hey, I'll take an appointment. Like, I can, create a 3-page, 4-page ebook and throw it up there and get some leads, If these are the leads I'm getting, I could just do this on my own. And not even egotistically, just more of, you're in the way. You're in the way of me just doing it on my own. And then I would say, thirdly, I found myself leaning more into negative water cooler talk, that our marketing sucks when our numbers weren't good. We wanted to have a place to, like a scapegoat. It was easier in our mind to not take ownership. So I would say emotionally, it did nothing positive for me in my work environment whatsoever. And it almost created a larger gap because I didn't know what they were trying to accomplish. But here's the one thing I'm going to say, and I think this is really important for everyone to hear. Some people are out there probably thinking like, well, Chris, why don't you just reach out to your marketing people? And I think on one regard, some would say, oh, it's because he's insecure and he doesn't want to go do that. No, it's not that. It's more of, how would you like it if someone reached out to you and said, hey, what was the purpose? Or give me the context, or why did you do this? Well, I'm not their boss. So when I'm asking why, and that's not being facilitated in the Action Lab or from the leaders, now it's almost like, hey, Torlando, hey, why did you guys do that one marketing piece? I was just trying to figure it out. Well, that feels accusatory. So instead, what do people do? they just do their own thing and they never have the conversation because what? There isn't a place like the Action Lab that's created. So tell me from a marketing perspective, like what your kind of emotional state or mindset or your feeling is on the other end when there's not continuity.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like marketing and sales departments sometimes act like Congress. You know, it's like you got the Republicans on one side, you got the Democrats on the other, and they aren't getting along.
We're getting the votes. We're stopping each other's bills and initiatives or special committees.
Yeah, and there's there have been a couple of politicians that have said this, and I think I've heard people from both sides saying this is that we forget that just because we have different viewpoints, that we're not all trying to accomplish ultimately the same thing, which is a better country, right? Marketing and sales have different tactics, but at the end of the day, we're all trying to drive revenue. And we have to remember that. We have to remember that it's about serving the customer and driving revenue. And if we could just let go of, maybe it's a little bit of ego, but also maybe it's just a little bit of, lack of trust, not trusting. I don't know what it is, but we got to figure it out. We got to get to a point where we can just start communicating, have empathy for each other. And I think that's what's missing in Congress. Definitely think it's missing in businesses sometimes. If we can have that place of empathy and really just see what the other person was thinking, be willing to ask that, and also not being so butthurt about it that you're going to say, well, if you don't like it, go jump in a river.
Yeah,
we got to get to that point.
Yeah, I think we have talked at lengths about how the customer feels, but I think the easiest way on my end to sum it up is we're giving them reasons to not buy, or we're giving them reasons to not become a customer. That's the easiest way to say it when these continuity errors happen. And I'll share a funny. I think I told you this, but like one of my pet peeves for continuity errors. And I saw some clickbait. I didn't click on it, but it was like top 10 continuity errors in movies. I didn't click on it, but I think I'll go watch it later. But the number one thing for me that drives me nuts for some reason is when someone is drinking out of a glass and like the level of the water or the scotch or the whatever they're drinking is like at the top, right? And you see them take a couple drinks in a scene, and then a scene posts that, and it's like refilled all the way to the top. I don't know why, but I think it's because it's so glaring, right? We're not talking about like one button was unbuttoned and now it's buttoned. Like I don't catch those things, but I catch the glaring ones, like the TV showing something different or the drink, and so I think that's what happens in our process, that when we give them kind of the glaring continuity error, like, oh, Chris didn't even know I filled that form out. Chris didn't even know I said these are my top 3 reasons for buying. He's just asking me from the start. I think this alarm goes off in their mind of like, oh no, this may not be the company that I want to buy from. Because what we're doing is we are disrupting the future story that marketing gave them. And when we disrupt that future story and it's not seamless, then what do? As a storyteller myself, as a story lover yourself, storyteller yourself, what they do is they begin to tell themselves other stories. That's what we don't want to happen. We want to cast a future story, build upon it, weave it, build upon it, make them the hero, be the guide. We can get you to that future. We can get you to that future. We can get you to that future if you work with Craft and Compel, if you work with Periodic, if you work with Action Lab. This is the future we can get you to. And the moment that there's disruption, there's a continuity error, is the moment they go, oh man, I can't believe this person doesn't know. Well, what did their mind just shift away from? The future story that we gave them, the whole reason they're here, the whole excitement of the hero they're going to become in their company by purchasing Periodic for their company, or by investing in Craft and Compel, or investing in Action Lab for their company. So I think that's the big one that I see, and I know I said it simply put. Maybe that was long-winded. I apologize, but I think it was important to put out. That was a great soundbite. You'll be seeing that highlight on my LinkedIn a week after this. The last piece I think I'll let you close with is, I think people are wondering, like, okay, well, great guys, you're talking to us about continuity errors, and we see them, we feel them, we know them, but I am in a silo. I do work.
Mhm.
I don't, I get a Zoom meeting with sales. Like,
Yeah.
nobody's facilitating this. So I guess we would hate to would not leave you with a future story, not
Yeah.
leave you what it means like if you work with Action Labs. So I'm going to let you take it away. I'm going to let the marketer do some sales.
There we go.
Put the pitch out there and let people know that if you choose to work with Action Lab, you get to choose to work with us. This is how we, manage continuity errors. This is how we eliminate them.
Definitely. So I guess I'll lead with a question here. And this is both to the marketer, maybe more to the marketers than to the salespeople, is are you ready and willing to allow your sales team to be a little bit more part of the marketing story? Are you willing to make them a character in this storyline? Are you willing to make your salespeople turn them into the guide? There's something I noticed, I came across as I was doing my LinkedIn, just a bunch of LinkedIn stuff that I do. There's this thing called showcase pages. I don't know how long these have been out. Maybe they've been around for a while. Who knows? But this is what a showcase page is: a sub page of a company page. You can make it for anything and anyone. You can make it for a different product. You can make it for an individual. You can, like, I'm going to say that again. You can make a company page for an individual. Okay. To the person who's running LinkedIn ads, what that means is you can take a person in your company, create a page for them, put their name. I could put, Torlando Hakes - periodic, and I can run ads against my posts and get them distributed and seen, which you can't do with a personal page. And so, but we know that that personal branding right now is so powerful in getting to an audience. And so my question is, are you in a place where you are willing and ready to put your salespeople on a pedestal to make them famous, to allow them to sell not just one-to-one, but one-to-many now? Are you willing to do stuff like that? Are you willing to think completely outside of the box? Are you willing to empty yourself and to come prepared for something that you weren't going to come up with on your own? You aren't going to come up with this on your own. You have to have both people in the room. You have to have marketing, you have to have sales, you have to have your left brain, you have to have your right brain, and you're going to make something better. That's what the Action Lab is about. It's about coming together, breaking down barriers, breaking down the us versus them, and being all part of the team. It truly is where sales and marketing unite to help you drive more revenue.
Can I just say one complete side note? By the way, we're excited. We're excited. I had a meeting this week actually with somebody that was interested in Action Lab, and that's dope for us because I hope you hear it. You hear the conviction, you hear the intention, you hear the execution. We're ready to rock and roll. And I think it's an exciting time for us to kind of bridge this gap. But sorry, I was on Instagram today, and let me just tell you a little bit about continuity error. Okay. You played NBA Jam, right? You know NBA Jam.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Who is your go-to team? I got to know.
Back then, I was probably the Orlando Magic because that's when Shaq was Shaq and Penny Hardaway.
All right, I like it. Yeah, I think I was rocking the Supersonics at that time because I loved the link that Detlef Schrempf had as well as the three-point prowess. So I'm on Instagram today and I see this thing. It's like NBA Jam tees. Well, dude, I like black tees. So I'm like, cool, maybe I can get a black tee with like two characters on it. And I go in and it's current characters for NBA Jam. Yeah, did you hear you went, yeah, that's how I felt. I felt like there was a continuity error.
Yeah.
They're like, wait a minute, this was supposed to be the old school players.
Yeah,
and no, you made it.
What is this, Space Jam 2? Come on.
Right. So I just bring that out to say that there are still organizations that are dramatically struggling with continuity errors in that what they're intending to offer, and then what they offer is a major letdown. And you don't need to ask me. I didn't buy a shirt, nor will I ever buy a shirt. But you know what it did do? It made me go look and see if there were NBA Jam t-shirts out there somewhere else. I literally left the person that brought me into this idea, this future story. I want a shirt like that. I left their company and went to go find another company. Who knows? Maybe on the next one, I'll wear my NBA Jam shirt that I just purchased from a different company. But my point is that we have to be really conscious that we're creating an experience from the moment that they see the ad, the website, whatever brings them to our company, all the way through to every single docket, every single roadmap, every single bus stop along the journey, that everyone involved is saying, hey, look, we're wanting to keep up this experience. And I feel like that there are some retail and restaurants that do that well. I would say Chick-fil-A is one for me that does that really well, that throughout that it's everybody's pleasure that I'm there apparently. And it feels that way. You know, they're smiling and I've never had any rude service at Chick-fil-A. And so that's just for me, one of those places that I think like every step of the way from the ordering to the final, to the first bite, you know, that it's a really great experience.
That's so, I mean, that's so key. The last thing I think a marketer would want is for their marketing to turn into the sale of a competitor. And if we're doing a good job of agitating the problem, bringing awareness of the problem, generating demand, and then we get the person to you know, sign up for the demo or whatever it is, and they're like, you know, I'm convinced that I have this problem now, but I'm not convinced you're the company to solve it. That's no good. You don't want to pay for other people's marketing, right?
Exactly.
So this is important stuff, and again, this is all stuff that you can handle in the Action Lab. And if you want to have one of these for your company, of course, you can get in touch with Chris by getting on his LinkedIn. You can email me directly at Trolando@Hakes.digital. You can even go to Hakes.digital and sign up an appointment with me. We can talk about it.
Or you can look at my showcase page that you might see in an ad here shortly in the next few weeks.
Oh, exactly. I'm definitely doing those. Definitely. But yeah, we are, this is awesome stuff. And we're so happy to host this. We host this show Wednesdays at 11 a.m. If you want to join this conversation live, go to join.actionlab.live. You can register and watch us in real time. Love to have you. Chris, I think that's the end of our show, bud.
That's it, man. Peace out, everybody. Appreciate it. Hey, if you got an NBA Jam company and you want to ping me with it, DM.
Sounds good. Peace.